All right, we're live. We're at it again, and we've got an extra body with us. Cam is here to check out Neon Genesis Evangelion, and I have to say it now before I forget to get in the mech, Shinji. So we're gonna start. I could not hear that when we were going. Mike, go ahead with a synopsis.
All right, so this first episode is called Angel Attack. In the year 2015, wow.
Yeah.
Totally not dated.
Exactly.
The first disastrous contact with the mysterious beings known as angels resulted in the global cataclysm referred to as the Second Impact, which wiped out half of the human race. To defend humanity against future angel attacks, the United Nations established the NERV organization in Tokyo 3 to develop giant biomechanical mecha known as Evangelions. 15 years later, it starts in the year 2000, and then 15 years later, the angels have finally returned, and the untested Evangelions can only be piloted by specially selected 14-year-olds. Shinji Ikari, estranged son of the director of NERV, Commander Gendo Ikari, arrives in Tokyo 3 and is dragooned into piloting Evangelion Unit 01 to fight the angel Satchel, which is attacking the city. And boy, what a synopsis.
we were just talking before the cameras came on about how when the song hits, it's 90s. Holy shit, when you read that out loud.
That theme song is still great. Just like 20 plus years after, it's still like, that's one of the best for a reason. So,
one of the most upbeat songs from one of the most unbelievably sad shows I've ever seen.
Right?
I remember the first time I watched Evangelion. It was the first time I found out about it was I bought a VHS copy of Destroy All Monsters, the Godzilla movie, and I think this was when like ADV was like distributing some of the film and such.
Okay.
And so I saw a preview for Gunhead, which is a fun little schlocky sci-fi film.
Nice.
Alita Battle Angel,
nice.
or Battle Angel Alita, and then it's like this one. Then the next preview pops up, and it's like I'm still kind of new to anime, like I'm not fully familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I see a preview. I wish I sent it to you guys, and it's like because it's so like. It was ingrained into my head. It's like, oh my gosh, what is that? What is this?
Exactly.
And then I didn't see it until like a few years later. Then it's like, oh yeah, I wanted to check out that show. And then, I got hooked, even though this first episode is a bunch of setup.
It's ridiculous.
No, the anime that put Gainax, or at least one of the anime that put Gainax on the map, because Gainax, this was like before they kind of fell apart into a bunch of different studios after all their talent left.
This was basically their Hail Mary. They threw everything at this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, and this was still fairly unique for a giant mech anime for back then, because back then, from my knowledge. And this is even if you just got into like the bootlegs and whatnot, or like the giant robot shows that America still and didn't really care about, like Getter Robo and such. That like this was vastly different, not just on like, I guess like where to start, man. Like the monster designs. Like back then, you had basically what Go Nagai went at was throw everything in a kitchen sink and hope it makes sense. And then you see these really monstrous looking angels, and like they're creepy. It's more like a horror monster than like a traditional giant mecha anime opponent. And then, like, we'll get into this when we talk about episode 2. No worries. And we'll get into this when we talk about episode 2. The Avas were like 100% instantly distinct and iconic, because everything wanted to be like Getter Robo, or you try to copy off of Gundam. But then it's like, here come these super lanky humanoids, and it's like it was super distinct. So I'm kind of curious to know how I'm going to feel about this show. I kind of dropped off it years ago, like about halfway through.
Yeah.
But it's iconic for a reason, and it's interesting reading up about the reaction to this show is that you either love it then and love it now, or you loved it back then and then you rewatch it and it's like, oh my gosh, I hate every single thing
And you
about
have
it.
to remember about this. I can't remember what the director's name that directed and wrote this. The main guy behind it.
Yeah, I know who you're talking
But
about.
about
Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, about halfway through this show, he stopped wanting to make it anything like other shows that had been around. And that type of show, the exact word is losing me. It's a Japanese term, and I can't think of it, like shonen, the typical shonen anime or anything like that. And he was just like, you know what? This is going to be super depressing and totally adult. And oh, by the way, it's still on a kids network. Crap. So that's bad.
I was reading up on that earlier before we went live, and I think it was like episode 18 or something where they really like they caught fire for a lot of the mature things they touched upon.
And they also had a lot more themes versus fights, because I brought this up in our Gurren Fresh Takes. They also badly ran out of money halfway through the show because of how they were animating it. So you're going to see the art style take a teeny bit of a dive halfway through.
Oh, well, I'm sure we'll notice. Hideki Anno. I mean, considering like hearing all about this, and it's like, oh yeah, big shock. The guy behind Nadia, The Secret of Blue Waters, made an anime that kind of tanked halfway through about what he wanted it to be. So, but by the way, go on YouTube and find all these old ADV previews for stuff like Nadia and Evangelion. It's like nostalgia when anime used to have like take a huge amount of like pride and like, here's all the anime we got. But yeah, I guess we should kind of talk about the first episode.
We're gonna get there. We were gonna get there, but it's just like the people not seeing this for the first time. We have to mention the elephant in the room that it was borderline impossible outside of a virgin sacrifice to watch this show for a good chunk of time before Netflix got it, and to watch a decent version.
Yeah, the whole copyright thing with this freaking anime. This one title, probably more so than any other anime I've run into, has run into like the biggest copyright disputes that I've ever seen.
Has there ever been an identified reason for why this is such a mess?
I don't remember. I feel like some of the people I know would know more than me, but I don't remember reading anything about it. It's just like the rights ran out and then they got stuck in limbo. But that's all I remember.
But yeah, all right. I suppose we can talk about the episode now. The weird part is it's going to be no time. So I was perfectly fine with us waxing poetic about the 90s because...
we had to pad this episode out because, you know, two major things happen. Shinji meets Masato. Is that her name?
Masato, yep.
And then his dad says, "You're 14. Get in the mech."
That just cold stare, the eyes and the nose. Get in the robot, Shinji, or else Ray will have to.
Yeah. And even back in the day, like, we're basically at the end of the episode because outside of stuff exploding, nothing happens till the last 5 minutes of this episode.
It's like all I did throughout the episode was kind of smart-aleckly like say some jokes. Like the angel is just walking around like, "Hey, do you know where I am? I was going to go to Hawaii, but now I'm in Japan.
Exactly.
I don't know why I'm here." Then, oh, hey, a bird, SWAT.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
I was just like, man, what all happens in this episode? And then I'm like, he meets Masato. I'm like, I think they meet Ray. And then we're rewatching this. I'm like, Ray's just on a stretcher. Like, that's all that happens?
Okay. I want to bring up something about that. I just think it's funny because, you know, this anime is also notorious for probably one of the worst father-son dynamics in anime.
It's hard to top.
Yeah, and it's just like Shinji is like the catalyst for all whiny, mopey anime leads. Like there were some beforehand, but then Shinji just kind of shot it up into the stratosphere to when it became popular. And of course, the daddy issues are all over the place with this show. We'll get to those in due time. And I think I kind of found it unintentionally funny when Ray was brought on out on the stretcher and such. Because like I could see the dad being like, "Okay, fine, my son doesn't want to do it. Let's guilt trip him. Bring out Ray."
Yeah,
and then there's some cool shots. And one of my another unintentionally funny thing is when Misato and that blonde scientist, I forgot her name.
Ritsuko.
Yeah, and
Erica Lindbeck.
Yeah, when they're talking and like Shinji's reading something, I'm a little shocked that they just don't notice the giant hand in the background just kind of like reaching out. And it's like, I'd be kind of terrified wondering what the hell that thing is in the background. And I mean, like I said, there's not a whole lot to talk about with this first episode. It's just all set up, build up. And then we end right when Ava Unit 1 gets unleashed.
Yeah. Mike, for the person that the entire time we've watched Gurren has been, this is more up my alley to watch unless something like Ava, what is your impression of the first 26 minutes of Evangelion?
Okay, I promise that I will try to avoid Gurren comparisons this whole run.
Oh, you can't.
Good luck.
But
good luck.
But I'm sorry, I have to, because even in the Gurren reviews, I was comparing it to Neon Genesis. And this is really my first time giving the show its day in court. Honestly, I don't have much to say about the first episode, except the one significant thing is we really developed the relationship between Shinji and what's her name?
Misato.
Sorry, Masato. Yes.
Yeah. No, I like their dynamic a little more, but there are definitely some things that you can see what happens later on. But anyway.
Oh yeah. Things happen. But for now, I think this is a good introduction, and clearly Misato cares more about Shinji than
his dad.
His dad.
Yeah. Ugh. No,
anyone in the comments, if we are forgetting a more pairing of an asshole dad and a son, write it down, please.
I have a non-anime example, and Cam probably knows exactly what I'm talking about. Chicken Little.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you one. I can tell you one about Shoto Todoroki and Endeavor from My Hero Academia. Oof.
I have heard about that. If
we ever get into that show, it could take up to a whole year if we have content for a year.
We'll probably get there eventually.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. But there's too much. Anyway, super toxic and otherwise, we're using the Netflix version, so we're going to be referencing Netflix dub. But of course, I grew up with the ADV dub, with like Spike Spencer as Shinji. Who, don't worry about Spike Spencer, he's fine. He's been doing dub stuff. If you watch like King and Ashura, he's the announcer during the fights and the voiceover stuff. And then like Allison Keith, Amanda Wynn Lee, and Tristan McAvery, and Sue Ulu. Sorry if I say that name wrong, but of course, the current dub has Casey Mungilo, who is. I was kind of impressed by this, that they got a non-binary actor to play Shinji, because Shinji's voice is tough.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be whiny and young, but not too whiny. And to be frank, I think the new voice is better. Like, just from what I remember. And it's like you can go to like behind the voice actors and they'll have like voice comparisons.
There's a YouTube channel that I follow called The Cartoon Cipher, and they did an episode about replacing voice actors.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have a section where they bring up Evangelion, and the comparison between like the ADV dub and this Netflix dub, it's kind of like night and day. Like the performances here are cleaner. The script is closer to the original Japanese. Like you know how like when you watch anime on Netflix, the subtitles don't exactly line up.
Yeah, because they don't have English subtitles; they just have the Japanese subtitles, even in the English.
This first episode of Ava is probably the closest that I've seen so far.
Yeah, it's basically just how Japan likes to phrase their sentences is only what's different, because basically, and I've seen this in a lot because of this, like normally what English would have at the start of the sentence is at the end. Other than that, it's pretty spot on.
Yeah, no, I like a lot of the talent that they have. Like Ryan Bartley plays Ray, and let's see who's Misato this time. Kiranen.
Yeah, Erica Lindbeck as Rusuko is awesome.
That's perfect. I love that. And
Yes.
Ray Chase as Gendo Ikari. Like and some of the new ones are actually not that bad. I mean, we'll get to those in good time. So we're only talking about episode 1. But yeah, there's not much else, or at least I don't have anything.
No, and one thing I have to add is anyone, again, and I don't know why you would, if you go back and you watch the old one, and a lot of people that are like, everybody says the old one was better because it's the original, and they redid it and they changed a bunch of stuff. There is everything I've read into, because this is my first time watching it, so we're getting a raw thing of the Netflix version. From what I've seen, and I'm waiting for when we get to the moment that I talked with Cam about. I don't know with Mike. There's one big moment where they change the feeling of a scene that people, especially nowadays.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
We will get there.
And people nowadays will get a little irritated. From what I've heard of how they change the feeling of the scene, I kind of like it. But back then in 96 was way before we should dub everything in Japan and give it to America. That was the time when they were starting to finally give slightly a crap about it. Yeah. So when you hear the comparisons, they kind of just, okay, dub the thing. And then it kind of sounds like people voice acted for the first time inside of a dishwasher in a hurricane. So
no, yeah.
Give it some credit. That was a different time back then. If you hear the comparisons and you're like, it was garbage back then, it was a different time.
I don't think people remember how really miss more than hit anime voice acting was back then. Rarely would you get something like a Cowboy Bebop or at least the first half of Dominion Tank Police or something. Most of the time, like especially if you watch stuff from Central Park Media, goodbye to yish. I mean, the only fun thing about going back to those time periods is like spotting like, oh look, there's Dan Green before he was Yu-Gi-Oh, or like the guy who plays Kaiba, that's him right there, or there's Amy Rose from Sonic, or stuff like that. But man, the line readings for a lot of Central Park Media anime was garbage. Like, whoosh.
Yeah, companies like Central Park Media, Harmony Gold, all those like now defunct studios are.
No, and ADV was better, but they still fell into that trap. And then, of course, there was the infamous ADV like improv lines and such, not just because of ghost stories, but just like they'll add.
We at some point need to do ghost stories.
Yeah,
oh my god.
Yeah,
that is no one's favorite, but fuck, we need to do ghost stories.
Oh no, I'd love to do that one. I haven't seen that one, but I've only seen clips of it, and it's great. And of course, one of my favorites.
It's time to go home, you sillies.
Oh gosh, no. Yeah, but man, yeah, I'll take this voice acting over anything, really, honestly. Like,
yeah. Before we leave again, and we'll discuss this in the next one. The other thing I just have to say that I miss about 90s animes that they don't have as much is they had 5 different sound effects for explosions, and they used every one of them. I like the exact step of when the angel steps on the car, and it's used for basically in-space explosions. It's used a lot in Gundams, and I cannot explain the sound to save my life, but it's got a weird tune-up to it, like you're kind of shooting off a rifle, like a and then it goes off. It kind of sounds like Iron Man's repulsor blast, but like tuned down. Oh,
yeah, no, it has like a build up to it, and
it's the beat of my heart, that fucking sound effect, because it's used so much in Gundam.
Oh yeah, that we'll talk about this with the second episode, but there's a sound effect that happens that I've heard in so many ultra violent anime that from back then. You'll know what I mean when we talk about it, but yeah, it's squishy and gross sounding. Let's just say that.
Yes, but all right. Like I said, we're pretty much done. Does anyone have any final thoughts on this other than what we skipped over? We got they tried every bomb on it, including the I can't remember the classification of the mine that
they said like M2 mine or something like that.
Yeah, an M2 mine that destroyed their car, and then she just I almost forgot. We have to mention they tipped the car over, and then it's just held together with tape as they're driving down the highway.
That's probably the most realistic thing, like relatable thing about that. It's like, oh, criminy, I just got this car. It's blown up now, and I was 33 payments left. So.
Yes, that was great. I'm not going to pay this off or whatever. I was all dressed up, and now it's ruined.
Oh gosh.
Man. But yeah, we're doing this how we did the back half of Gurren. Everyone, so in case you're wondering, where we're watching review episode. Cam, I think, has seen both of them, but we're going to try and keep them fresh so it's more in tune with it, because me and Mike got distracted sometimes.
Oh yeah,
because there's a couple episodes, and if I remember this correctly, it's like this, where they're in an area for a while and you forget which episode was which when you're talking about it.
Oh, I remember a bunch of episodes, and not for the best reasons.
Oh, we'll get there.
Yeah,
we'll get there. But yeah, we will see you guys next time. I don't have any fancy whatevers for this, because moving forward, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna edit these. We'll figure that out. But we will see you guys the next time. And almost holy balls, I'm not professional. I almost forgot. Cam, you're newest here. Where can everyone find you, and what are you working on?
You can find me at my Twitter handle here at Cam's Eye View. I have a website called camseyeview.biz where I review animated films called The Other Side of Animation. Just posted my review of The Croods: A New Age, and I'm working on a review for Netflix's Charming, which you will hear Mike and I talk about this on the upcoming Renegade Animation episode. And I got a Patreon at patreon.com/camseyeview. And, I'm in a Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group if you want to see me there. And, I co-host the Renegade Animation podcast. And that's it.
Yeah. All right. Mike, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CaptainK42. Check out all my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. Find me in all the various Facebook groups, just at my name. As Cam mentioned, we are the host of Renegade Animation, one of the many podcasts available on renegadepopculture.com and on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Music, wherever you listen to the podcasts. You can also follow Renegade Pop Culture on Twitter and Facebook. Twitter is at Ren Pop Culture. And the Facebook group is facebook.com/groups RPC42. And our website, once again, is renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. Rock?
You can find me everywhere at this YouTube channel. Obviously, got to be a nerd and say it every time because I'm an idiot. And at Organoid Zero, I'm not going to mention when I'm streaming this time like I used to, because you guys aren't going to see this episode till like 17 weeks after we record it. So yeah, we'll see you guys then. We are going to go get the next episode down, and then we'll be back. See you guys next time. I love you. Until next time.
Bye.